Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving headfirst into one of the most chilling and honestly technologically mind-bending mysteries we've ever come across, the final conversation mystery, involving audio forensics and Project Glass. Picture this. The clock strikes exactly 11:48 p.m. The city's central police station is completely quiet right up until the moment Detective Sarah Mitchell receives an unexpected email. Attached to it is a single audio file, titled simply finalconversation.wave. It was sent from the account of Ryan Carter, a brilliant investigative journalist who had been reported missing by his family for 3 excruciating days. His car was found abandoned in front of his office, but Ryan himself had vanished into thin air. Until this email. When Detective Mitchell actually presses play on that file, the room goes completely dead silent. The opening line is just bone-chilling. You hear Ryan's voice, calm, crystal clear, absolutely zero panic, saying, "I know the police will look for me because I killed a man." He then just coldly names his victim, Frank Miller. Frank was a high-profile government contractor who, in a wild coincidence, had also been missing for exactly 3 days. Ryan calmly states that he killed Frank, that no one forced him, and that he alone bears the responsibility.
Now what's really wild here is the exact duration of this thing. Exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds. And for that entire runtime, Ryan's voice doesn't waver once. He's claiming total responsibility for a brutal murder with absolutely no hint of coercion in his tone. For the detective sitting there, it feels like a total open and shut case, right? A guilt-ridden killer sending his final message before going on the run. But as we're gonna see, in our digital age, a perfect confession can actually be the biggest red flag of all.
Which brings us to part 1, the missing journalist and the impossible crime. This sets the stage for a massive, glaring contradiction that turns the whole investigation completely upside down.
So police rush over to Ryan's apartment, bracing themselves for the worst. They're expecting a gruesome crime scene, signs of a violent struggle, bloodstains, a kicked-in door, because a murderer on the run usually leaves a chaotic trail. But that's not what they find at all. The door is locked from the inside, the apartment is totally immaculate, his clothes are neatly hung up, the bed is made, and his laptop is just sitting there perfectly normal on the table. Absolutely nothing is out of place. It literally looks like he just stepped out to grab a coffee.
Well, there is one tiny thing out of place. Sitting right on his desk is an old-school cassette player. Inside is a physical tape, and scrawled across the label are the words, "Final Conversation." Detective Mitchell hits play on this physical deck, and her blood just runs cold. It's the exact same audio that was emailed to the precinct. Same pauses, same tone, exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds long. So now, investigators are thinking, okay, he premeditated this murder, meticulously recorded his statement, digitized it, set it to send, and made his escape. But here's where that logic completely falls apart. They have this flawless audio confession, sure, but extensive citywide searches, they turn up absolutely nothing. No blood, no murder weapon, and most importantly, zero trace of Frank Miller's body anywhere. Not at his house, not his office, not in his cars. So we've got a confessed killer, a named victim, and literally zero physical proof that a crime actually happened. Moving right into part 2, uncovering the missing audio files. This bizarre lack of physical evidence forces the police to dig a lot deeper into the victim's professional life.
The morning after the apartment search, investigators tear through Ryan's office and find his personal digital voice recorder. Ryan recorded everything: politicians, businessmen, contractors, but strangely, all the files from his last 3 days have been intentionally wiped clean. However, a digital wipe is rarely perfect. Tech experts spend hours digging and manage to recover just one fragmented file from the day before Ryan vanished. It's a heated confrontation. You hear Frank Miller violently threatening Ryan, telling him that publishing some unknown information is a terrible idea. Frank literally snarls. Then you don't know who you are playing with? Suddenly, boom, we have a very clear, very dangerous motive.
This recovered thread pulls us right into part 3, the encrypted motive. Police realize Ryan wasn't just working on some standard piece. He had stumbled onto an absolute goldmine of dangerous secrets.
They crack an encrypted folder on Ryan's hard drive and discover a massive, hundreds of pages long dossier called Project Glass. This thing exposed a colossal government corruption ring, siphoning off millions of dollars. We're talking a massive network of shell corporations, fake companies, forged bills, all designed to secure huge payouts for non-existent projects that were never even built. And sitting right at the center of this whole web of corrupt figures, Frank Miller.
Ryan was literally days away from publishing the whole thing and taking them all down. But wait, this revelation throws the whole case into a giant paradox. Think about it for a second. The police assumed Frank killed Ryan to stop Project Glass from leaking. But if Frank killed Ryan to silence him, then who on earth made the audio file of Ryan confessing to killing Frank? I mean, why would a dead journalist send an email confessing to a murder he didn't commit against the guy who actually killed him? It makes absolutely no sense.
To solve this impossible puzzle, police call in an audio forensics expert named Daniel Brooks. Let's look at part 4, the mechanics of digital forgery. Daniel sits down, puts on his headphones, and starts analyzing the microscopic sound waves of that confession.
At first, he's totally stumped because the file is incredibly well made. It sounds completely seamless. But then, he isolates a very specific moment. Right at the 3-minute and 26-second mark, Ryan says, "I will reveal everything tomorrow." Daniel zooms in on the sound wave for that word tomorrow, and there it is, a microscopic anomaly in the breathing rhythm right before and after the word. You can't hear it with the human ear, but on a visual waveform, it's undeniable. That single word was recorded in a completely different acoustic environment at a completely different time.
So how did the killer actually pull this off? Daniel digs into Ryan's massive archive of old interviews and actually finds a 2-year-old file where Ryan used that exact word with that exact intonation. The killer had literally combed through hundreds of hours of Ryan's voice, isolated individual words and sentences, perfectly matched the breathing patterns, and used advanced software to stitch together a brand new, completely fabricated murder confession. It was a flawless piece of digital forgery.
Okay, so the audio is completely fake. But who had access to Ryan's files to even make it? The investigation shifts to reconstructing the timeline. The confession email goes out at 11:48 p.m. Police check the computer logs in Ryan's office and find a login on the audio software just hours after Ryan vanished. They check the building's CCTV, which shows a break-in at 1:12 a.m. And the name used to log into the system? Frank Miller.
Now that 1:12 a.m. CCTV footage is super blurry. The suspect's face is completely hidden by shadows and a hat. But as they swipe a keycard, the camera catches one distinct detail, a very specific, heavy, black, metallic watch on the wrist. Frank Miller's family takes one look and confirms, yep, that's Frank's custom watch. He literally never takes it off. Believing Frank is alive and framing Ryan, the police run an emergency GPS track on Frank's car and trace it to an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city.
A heavily armed tactical team breaches the warehouse, and what they find is terrifying. There's fresh blood smeared on the concrete floor. A wooden chair is just violently smashed to pieces. Ryan's phone is lying abandoned in the dust. And in a smaller room nearby, they find a digital camera. They play the memory card, and it's a hostage video. Ryan is tied up, and Frank is aggressively interrogating him about the Project Glass files, trying to prove they're fake. Ryan refuses to yield, and right after Frank says, "I don't want to kill you," the video abruptly cuts to black.
Detective Sarah Mitchell is standing in his gloomy warehouse, totally convinced Frank murdered Ryan right there in that room and fled. But get ready for part 5, the final twist.
Right as Sarah is processing this grim crime scene, her cell phone rings. She answers, and you are not going to believe this. It's Ryan Carter. He's alive. He tells a completely stunned Detective Mitchell that what she found in the warehouse is only half the story. He's currently hiding out in a safe house. When she frantically asks about Frank, assuming Ryan escaped, Ryan drops an absolute bombshell. Frank is alive too. He tells her, "I don't trust Frank, but I've realized one thing. Someone is using both of us. They were both kidnapped, violently manipulated, and set up to take the fall."
So, the huge question is, if Ryan didn't kill Frank, and Frank didn't kill Ryan, who in the world orchestrated this entire nightmare? Ryan gives Sarah a name that makes her blood run completely cold. The true mastermind was a veteran police officer, a corrupt member of Sarah's own investigation squad. This inside man used his police access to steal Ryan's old audio files, used his tech skills to forge the fake confession, kidnapped both men to terrify Frank and frame Ryan, all to get his hands on the Project Glass dossier and protect the corruption ring.
Armed with this explosive truth, Sarah moves fast. They raid the corrupt officer's home, seize his personal computer, and boom, there's the definitive proof of the entire elaborate frame-up. The fallout is swift. The corrupt cop gets arrested for kidnapping and digital forgery.
Frank Miller, even though he survived the ordeal, gets arrested for his massive role in the Project Glass corruption. And Ryan Carter, the journalist who nearly lost his life for the truth, emerges from hiding as the star witness. It turns out, he had secretly backed up all his files on a secure cloud server way before he was ever taken.
I want to leave you with this final, really powerful thought. Months later, during the trial, the judge listened to that forged 4-minute and 17-second audio file one last time. In his closing statement, he noted that sometimes the best way to hide the truth is to force someone to lie in their own voice. But ultimately, justice won out. As the judge put it perfectly, a man's voice can be faked, but the truth behind his words cannot be. It's such a stark reminder for the digital age we live in. Question what you hear, verify the source, and never underestimate human intuition over digital deception. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.